Thank you for joining me at Ivy's Inspirations, Living Your Best Life Imaginable. I'm your host, Ivy, and it is so uplifting and fulfilling to me to find those in this world who inspire others through their teachings, their aspirations to reach their goals, and the gifts they have to offer to our world to make it a better one. As a young mom of 3, I always dreamt of reaching all of the goals I have set out for myself, and I have personally become my own best version. I began as a swim and fit model, which led to becoming a writer and editorialist for a fashion magazine, and then added spin instructor and vegan baking company owner to the list, while also remaining a stenographer and CEO of my own small company. Most recently, I have added real estate agent in training to the list. I truly believe that anyone who believes in themselves and is inspired by others can attain any goal they set out to achieve. Come join me as I talk with others who inspire all of us to be our own best personal versions. Why live any life that we don't feel inspired by? Let's find out how to live our best one at Ivy's Inspirations. Good morning and welcome to my favorite episode I have ever done on Ivy's Inspirations. Why is it my favorite? Because it is approaching Mother's Day, which to me is the most meaningful, incredible, important holiday that there could ever be. Since I was 21 years old, I had a dream about what I would want to do in my life. And I thought, what is the most important thing to me as a woman, a young woman at 21? So when I got married at almost 22, I thought to myself, what are my goals as a wife? The only thing that I could think of as I was newly married was becoming a mom, a young mom. And ever since then, from then to now, it is the absolute greatest decision I ever made. There are some hills and valleys that you have to climb and that you have to find yourself in as a mom. It's a challenging job. It's probably the most fulfilling in the world. But it is the best role that I've ever done, the best role, in my opinion, that anyone could ever do. So if anyone is ever thinking, should I have a child? Will it be a long road, a hard road? It is so worth it. It is so worth every moment, every time that, they throw up in the backseat of your car, every time that, you have a struggle with, what schools you want to send them to, or all of these important decisions that you have to make. Just trust yourself, trust your maternal instinct, because I believe as a woman, we are naturally born and derived with this innate, sense of self, of being a mom, and just being that maternal being that we all are inside, or most of us anyway. And for those women who choose not to have children, I support that too. I suppose that that's your journey. For me, there was nothing more important when I was 21 up until this moment. So I have a few stories that I want to share on this important week. I consider the whole week like a birthday, celebration of Mother's Day. It is the most excited that I'll be all year, because to bring life into the world, to me, there is no greater purpose. There is no greater importance. We can have jobs, we can make money, we can travel, we can, have significant others, we can have love in different forms, and that's all wonderful, and that's all very gratifying. But to love your children and to receive love from your children, it's a whole different world. It's the kind of love that is just infinite. It is not really even explained in words to the best ability that even I have as a person who, prides herself on self-expression. It's very hard to explain the love that you have for your children. It's infinite. It is not conditional. It is just forever. It's forever from the moment that you hold them in your arms, the day that they're born, until the day that you're gone. It's just something that is an absolute forever. So one of the things I wanted to share on this show is about inspiration. It's about being our best selves. I've achieved that. Took me all of this time to get here, but I've learned the do's, the do-nots. I've learned that what exceeds your expectations in a wonderful way, spend time on that. And what disappoints you and what isn't worth your time, do away with it. Those are the do-nots. But what are the do's? Are being your best self for your children. And as a mother, even though I've had my challenges and I've had to make my mistakes along the way, I've made some great choices, I've made some choices I wish I didn't, but it all led to an example to my children of what to do and maybe what not to do as well. But always to be your best self because of it. So here I sit in front of you, my best being that I've ever been through that journey. So I tell my daughter, who is my mini me, I grew up with her. I was 21 years old when I got married. I was 25 and a half when I had her. So really, I was a young girl growing up alongside of her. So I had to learn along the way of what my journey would be, and at the same time be a mom. So as I'm packing lunches and bringing my kids to carpool lines at school, picking them up every day, taking them to the park, to spiral football with my sons, to do everything. I was a young mom. I had 3 children in 3.5 years. So even though I was somewhat, sort of a health addict then as I am now, I would go to the gym all the time. My body, keeping in shape was very important to me. I didn't care about any of that because having children was more important. I knew my body would go through its journey, and, pregnant, I nursed a year after each child. I didn't care. I knew that the journey was more important than, the destination was more important, as was the journey. So wherever that would take me, I was fine with it. So here I am today with 3 children that I am infinitely proud of. I have watched them grow from, infanthood to young adulthood. They have all made me infinitely proud. I look at each of them and I think every day, how did I do this? Like literally, how did I be part of something that is such a miracle? So one of the stories that I have, before I introduce my co-host in a few minutes, but one of the stories that I have as a young mom, I hope this will inspire women who may have difficulty having children, or maybe, you're uncertain of having children, or you're sort of at a crossroads. So one of my stories that's unknown to anyone, even my closest of friends or family, is something very special to me, and I decided to share it today. So I was newly married. I was a young girl. I was 21 and a half, and I was on a ski trip with my children's father and my then husband, and we were on a ski trip, and I remembered that I was really, really excited about having children, and I wanted to do it young. I wanted to be a young mom my whole life. So I told him I really want to try for a child, so we did. And unbeknownst to me, I was pregnant. I was about 3 months pregnant, but because I was a thinner person, I didn't realize that I was pregnant. I just carried so small at the time, I didn't know. So we were skiing on the snow, and all of a sudden I started not to feel well. And I started to feel just horrible all over, and I thought I was dying. I didn't know what was wrong with me. And of course, my symptoms led me to fall, literally almost to collapse in pain. And I didn't know if my own life was in danger. I just was so confused. So unfortunately, when the medics came, they told me, you've suffered, the loss of a child. You've had a miscarriage. And I said, a miscarriage? I'm not pregnant. And they said, you were. And my daughter, I don't think, ever knew this. My boys don't know it. But I was devastated. All of my dreams of the, being a mom, a young mom, and they were all just taken from me. And I was so devastated. I just remember the feeling of feeling like the one thing I wanted in the world I would never have. So I kept, thinking about this all the next months and thinking maybe I'll never have a child. So about 9 months later, I found out that I was carrying a baby girl. And I found out the same way about 3 months later, I was carrying small again. And I started to cry, and I said, I always wanted a girl first. It was just sort of a dream of mine and premonition. They say you can manifest your own destiny. I do believe that. Some choices we make purposefully and they carry us, and some choices we make, sort of by happenstance, by just dreaming about them, and they manifest into what we want. They really do. I've done it and I believe it. So I found out I was pregnant with a girl, and I named her Jordan. And all of the pain of the loss of my past and what I, felt like I would never get again, I only got in a better form. I got the most beautiful baby girl I had ever seen when I gave birth to her. She was literally perfect. She looked like an angel, and all of our children are perfect to us, yes. Her face was just so beautiful, big brown eyes, full lips, a little button nose, and she was just the dream that I always had of a healthy, beautiful baby. And so I realized at that moment, and this is why I want to share this with you, whoever is watching who is proud to be a mom or wants to be a mom, don't ever worry about what life takes us through that may be a bumpy road. Because if you've lost a child or you're having trouble having a child, that day will come. And when it does, it is the best thing in the world. And that child is the one that was meant for you. Maybe the baby that I had before, wasn't as healthy or as perfect, or something was wrong. And I wouldn't want, a child to go through that. So who knows? I don't know the reason. But I was able to let it go. And I would have loved that baby no matter, but I would never have had Jordan. So my point is that loss can bring the greatest gains to your life, and that's what it did for me. So I loved it so much after having her that 17 months later, almost 17 months, I had her brother, and then I did the same thing again a third time. And as I said, the best decisions I've ever made were to have those 3 children. So having said that, that's a story that was once a sadness that brought me such happiness and hope. I just wanted to touch on that and tell my daughter for the first time, who I have with me today. Her name is Jordan. So hi, Jordan.
Good morning. I have one confession before we start. I was singing karaoke last night, and so that's the reason why my voice is a little hoarse, but I'm very glad my mom still loves me anyways.
I definitely do. And I have to give a Kygo shout out. She did meet Kygo last night. Is that a secret?
That is my favorite DJ in the whole world, and yes, I manifested that 100%.
The power of manifestation. So, yeah. But, she's sitting here next to me, and she's clearly my mini-me. I mean, it's undeniable. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for her, but you cannot deny.
Definitely a good thing. Definitely a good thing. Very lucky.
Thank you. Thank you, sweetie. You can't deny genetics. And, she sits next to me, and if any mothers that are watching, when you look at your daughter or your sons, you see yourself in them, right? You see the better version of who you are. And every time I look at my daughter, I literally think, like, how did I do this? She's just the best of whatever I am. She took that to a whole new level. And that's what the next generation tends to do, is they're the better form of who we are. And any aspirations or things that I aspired to be or do, and I was having children instead in my 20s, I don't regret that at all, but I see her doing them. I see you, fulfilling your professional goals. You're living your 20s out having fun and having lots of friends and, experiences. And really, as a young mom, I didn't get to do a lot of that. And I chose that. And that was the path that was right for me. But for you, you're living the dreams that really I didn't live. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing to be able to see my daughter living the life that, I'm sort of living now, living my best life now, which is great. I did it backwards. But I love that about you. So I wanted to just share that story. Never in life feel defeated when you've lost, a child, or you didn't get pregnant, or you're having trouble, or you're doing hormone therapy, whatever it may be. Your time will come, and when it does, this is what you'll have. So it's worth the wait. It's worth all of the things it took to get there. So just don't ever give up, that hopefulness. So Jordan, I have a question for you. So it's Mother's Day. I get like totally crazy happy around Mother's Day. I'm spending it with you guys, which is so special. My question for you as a mom, so I was a really young mom. I only realize it now, looking back, like, oh my gosh. And I kind of grew up with you. Do you think that as a young mom, you felt that, I knew what I was doing? Or do you think that, like, I had so much to learn? I feel like for me, my experience was, even though I learned along with you, I feel that I innately was given this sense of, oh, this is what you do. You just surround your entire life around these children and innately make their lunches and, take them to the ocean and just make sure they're always buckled tight in their car seat, never leave them in a hot car, never be careless. I feel like I knew innately to be this responsible mom, and I just went full force ahead. I gave everything. I'm wondering, did you feel that, like, honestly, from me? Because I've never asked you this. It's a very personal question, but my perception was I gave so much of my full heart and soul. Did you and your brothers, do you think you felt that from me?
We absolutely did. And I know if I said otherwise, that would absolutely be a lie. I feel not only in the upbringing that we had, the beautiful, loving childhood that we had, but I still feel it to this day. It never wavered. So it's not as if you gave it your all when we were born and then stopped trying. You have always, always, always been nearly a perfect mom. You gave up coffee, and that's very difficult for you. I know. I think you were an absolutely perfect mom through and through. And I think, yes, you just knew innately what to do. And that's incredible. And I hope I will have the same innate response when I have children.
Well, there's no doubt that you would. As most of you know, it's a very personal thing, but I want to give a love from here to heaven to my sister and to her aunt. We lost my sister this year in a cycling accident. She was probably the best mom I've ever known. I think she and I shared that love for our children that was just infinite, as I was saying before. And it's the first Mother's Day my nephew will have without his mom. But I think it's genetically in our being that we just love so deeply. And I know that my daughter just will be the most amazing mother, like her aunt was, the way that she is with her nephew. It's just something that's innate within us. So there's no doubt in my mind. And it is just the easiest for you. I'll tell you, Jordan, now, and I'll tell any viewers that, like I said, are thinking of becoming moms or doubting, like, do I want a child? Do I not want a child? It is the best thing you will ever do in your life. Don't ever doubt it. Like, it is the most amazing feeling in the world. And I sit here today and I'm going on my own endeavors. My Mother's Day gift to myself, and this won't be a surprise to anybody that knows me, is I'm becoming a certified yoga instructor. I've gotten so enamored with it and how it's centered me and all the blessings it's brought into my life. I met an amazing person that's come into my life in a yoga class. I have just had the best luck and manifested the most amazing experiences since I've done yoga that I just want to teach it to others. So my daughter's been doing it with me, but that is my Mother's Day gift to myself, is I'm getting to be hopefully teaching at, shout out to Equinox if they'll hire me. But I just want to be a yoga instructor to add to my goals as a woman, as a young mom, that I didn't get to live all of them in my 20s. I am going to do it now. And I feel like my body's stronger now than I was then. I'm like in slightly better shape. So age is only a number. But back to you, Jordan. I just wanted to share this Mother's Day show with my beautiful daughter to say, you know, I am so proud and I'm so glad that it's forever on film, because one day when I'm old, never gray, but old, that you can look back with your brothers and know that I told you how much I truly love you. Love amongst people in a romantic way is such a beautiful thing. And, you know, I hold it in my heart now, and I've had it before, but it's somewhat conditional, you know, as long as someone, you know, treats you beautifully, you love them. And when they don't, you can lose love for them. It's happened to me, and you let that go. And the thing that I realized today about being a mom is that's forever. Even if your children are not perfect, which nobody really, you know, we're all perfect in our own ways. I like to say that. I feel that everyone is a form of perfection, because being perfect is, to me, means being okay with yourself, being happy with who you are, feeling that you don't need to be anything different. That's what I mean by that. But we are also imperfectly perfect in the sense that even if your children don't always, you know, come home on curfew, or they have a sibling argument, that's okay. We love them no matter what. It's a different kind of love. It's a love that is unconditional. It's unexplainable. It's the deepest, rarest form, but it's the most authentic. And I just am so happy to have you next to me. So back to you. I want to know for myself as a mom, what are some of a couple of your memories as a girl, because there's so many for me that I want to know your perception of a few things that you think from your childhood were special.
All of it, every single part of it. And honestly, that made me a little emotional when you were talking about how we grew up together, because truly we did. And you're my best friend in this whole world. And I'm so honored that I get to do these shows with you and have this memorabilia forever. I have to say, and that's partially why I'm so hoarse, I think. I'm always laughing when I'm around you, laughing until we cry. I remember every single year we went on a trip to Disney World, and there used to be the tolls that you had to pay as you drove through. My mom did a different accent for every single toll that we passed by, and I was dying laughing. It was a British accent, then it was an Australian accent. And it went on, and I just thought it was so funny to see you become this persona in front of me every single day. And I just love that you are the first person I think about when I wake up in the morning. And I am so fortunate that I have such a close relationship with my mom, because I know that's not really the norm. It's not something to take for granted. Some women all over the world never knew their mothers or aren't as close to their moms, young girls. And I just want to say, you're not alone. You know, my mom can be your mom, or find someone who's a mother figure to you, who you look up to. And I think it's really important to have a mother figure in your life. I know beforehand Sunny could have children of her own. She saw us as her kids, and she was so proud of us. And she would always kind of joke, doesn't Jordan look more like me than she looks like you? And you said, no way, she's all mine. So I think it's so beautiful that children are an example of us. They're a product of us and the love that I was given as a child. I think that's why I'm so loving now. And I'm really grateful for you forever, for all the laughs and the memories and the countless times that the I told you so's would ring in my head. But it was never in a mean way. You never were mad at me for all the times I came home late at night, or that I kept you up like last night. And I'm sorry, but I'm just really grateful that you've been the mom that you've been to me. And if there's one thing you've done literally perfect in this world, it was the way you raised us. So thank you. And I do feel that motherhood comes innate to a lot of people, but I think the skills that you've had as a mother, those couldn't have been natural. They're not from this earth. So before I lose my voice more and maybe start crying, just thank you, Mom, and thank you to all of the moms out there who have raised children in general. Amazing, imperfect. Just thank you, because this generation and the generations preceding, that is the future of our world. So, yes.
Do you see what I mean? I mean, Jordan, you blow me away.
But I'm just.
Do you see what I mean?
Here.
No, Jordan, you're such an insightful girl, like head to toe. You see things, you feel things that some people, it's lost on them. I just think you're innately that way, and it's such a beautiful way to be. So don't change. Like I used to tell you when you were little, don't change, just get taller, and just don't change a thing. You've really evolved into such a beautiful young lady. Thank you for those compliments. You made me cry, of course. Like I said, anyone that knows me knows what she said resonated with me so deeply. It really touched my soul. Recently, I was thinking about something else when I was her age. I wanted to be like a fit mom. I wanted to always take care of myself. So I still went to the gym. In fact, I went into labor with my second son on the Key Biscayne Bridge. I was ambulanced from there because I started to go into labor, and that was like a famous thing. So I was riding my bike. I wasn't supposed to, but I did it anyway. So I have some funny, memories of pregnancy and being a mom. But one thing I can say about all of my children, they all have one significant thing in common. So, not everybody can get through change. Some people have they say in life, the only constant is change, because we're always moving, we're always evolving. Our heart is always beating, thank goodness. So when you get stuck, or you show your children that you're the type of person to settle for less in life, or, just stay instead of standing true to your soul and to yourself, I think that's a poor example. So I've been maybe it's being Eastern European in my heritage, I don't know, but I'm a very strong woman. So my children have seen me when I'm not, when I know that I'm in a less than situation, I'll move away from it. So your children move away with you from a situation. And maybe that's hard at first, but I think I've been resilient to show my children resiliency, and that through change comes metamorphism. You're metamorphing yourself into a greater being, into a greater, even though it's a tongue twister, into a greater, self. And so I really feel strongly that I give myself that little bit of credit as a mom, as a woman, that doing the right thing is not always the easiest thing. And I always wanted to set the right example for my daughter, that, know your worth, not because you're outwardly beautiful or you take care of yourself and stuff. That's kind of the easier to do, but know who you are, know what your heart is, know what your heart has to give, know what your mind tells you, and what you know innately in your soul. So I want to share just two quick things. Thank you for your accent story. You made me laugh because I always do accents. That's like my thing. I enjoy that. And we have a lot of fun that way. Two quick things. The first is my epiphany to have children. It happened in Northern California, so it holds a very special place. It was on my honeymoon. And that's when I envisioned myself having 3 children. Another thing Jordan never knew. I wanted a girl and a boy and a boy, and that's exactly what happened. So I sit here today with a 19-year-old, 21, and 23, and I think to myself, how did what I really, really wanted actually happen to me? It was just such a gift. So thank you to the universe for granting my 3 wishes. I need nothing else. Like, that is fulfillment to me. And the second thing is that I always wished when my kids were little and I was, doing all of these things for them, packing their lunches and everything, one day will be my last lunch that I'll pack. And that will be the saddest day of my life. And I used to put stick figures on the lunches and just say, like, have a great day, to my son, Mikey. He was like an artist. And one day he wrote me back with a stick figure and it looked like me. And he said, Mom, I love you, but this is your last lunch. I'm grown up now. And I'm in 11th grade and, I'm your last child, but it's the last lunch. And I know it's a sad day for you, Mom, but thank you for all the lunches and I love you. And I'll never forget that. It was my last Post-it note and I still have it. But it just resonated with me, like, they're grown up now. And just embrace every moment you have with your children. Like Jordan said, if you don't have a mom out there, it's okay. You have an aunt or you have friends, it's okay. And, I've had children in my life that were like second children, like my nephew as well. So just those of you who can give love to a child that's in need, give it. Those of you who are children who need love, look for women in your life that are in your family that can be mother figures. You're not alone. That maternal love can come from other places. But I'm just so grateful for you, Jordan, and,
Ditto.
Yeah. So that's why this is so special to me. So I wanted to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to be back to close. I have a very special commercial for you on private air travel because there is no better kind. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Atlantis One is a specialized private jet company offering boutique jet services of very light jets like the Embraer Phenom 100 and 300 aircraft. Since 2010, Atlantis One has owned, managed, and sold these particular aircraft. Atlantis One is the expert in these light jets, which give the client the most comfortable, efficient, and technically advanced experience of an executive jet, offering the largest cabin in its class with plentiful natural light and space, delivering serenity throughout. These best-selling light business jets offer true private jet travel experience for your needed travel. Their services include acquisition and sales of Phenom 100 300 aircraft consultation acceptance and delivery, aircraft refurbishment and design, aircraft management, flight crew and pilot mentoring, aircraft partnership programs, and aircraft brokering services. For more information, contact Cal Bitzer, CEO of Atlantis One, at 954-258-8000 or via email at k@atlantis1jets.com. You've been watching Ivy's Inspirations. We're back from our commercial break, and if you'd like further information on our show, please contact Ivy at Ivy's Inspirations on the internet, or you can contact me directly at AMP Media Productions. Have a wonderful day, and so glad that you tuned in.
I am especially excited for this Mother's Day because she doesn't know it yet, but I booked her reservation at her favorite restaurant that we've gone to for pretty much the last 10 years or so. So I just wanted to know what everybody else is doing for Mother's Day for their moms so I can have ideas for next year. So please feel free to write in something special you're doing for your mom, your grandma, or your aunt, and we would love to know and sharing that with you. Happy Mother's Day to all on Sunday.
Thank you, Jordan, for doing that. That is, see what I mean? Like, being a mom is literally the best thing ever. I want to close with this. If ever you've had to take your journey in, there have been some bumps in the road, or you've made some choices you wish you didn't, or you have any regrets, it all led to what is your best life. I'm living mine. It took me a while to get here, but I am definitely here. But one thing that's always in the back of my mind, no matter where my life takes me, good or bad, is that I am a mom. And I have given life 3 times over to 3 people that I love so, so much. So I just have an inner smile and an inner confidence about that all the time, that I did something 3 times over that I am so proud of. And I just couldn't ask for anything more. So I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. I know that I'm going to have one, and I'm just so very grateful, and I wish the best, and that all of the moms out there keep being your best. And if you have struggles or you have stressors, just know that it's all so fleeting. And if there were ever a pause button, I wish I could have had one growing up. It went by way too fast. So this is what happens when you're not looking. So happy Mother's Day to everyone. I know I'm going to have one, and I cannot wait until I see you. I may be going on vacation for the next 3 weeks, taking a little time off, enjoying the summer, or the spring rather, but I will see you in 3 weeks. We're going to have a new segment on yoga, health and wellness, and beautifying from the inside out. So until then, happy Mother's Day. Take care. Thank you for joining us today to become inspired at Ivy's Inspirations, living your best life imaginable. What would life be without inspiration? Today we learned a lot from another inspiring guest. Join us next week as we learn more from those who live their best lives and share their techniques and unique abilities to serve as inspirations to this world. See you next week as we continue to become our own best versions.